We're on Pike's Peak on Reel 2, and tell us about that trip up.
Well, when I took the four-wheel drive car up there, the people in Clintonville who had raced the car at Indianapolis on hard surface said that we should always operate. The car incidentally had three differentials. There's a differential on the front axle, another one on the rear, and it has what they call a center differential. And they said we should never operate the car without having the center differential working. There was a lockout for the center differential, and that worked fine for Indianapolis. But when we got on this gravel road at Pike's Peak, with the center differential open, you never knew whether the front wheels were going to spin up or whether the rear wheels were going to spin up. And so to begin with, it was a really terribly handling car at Pike's Peak. You could hardly drive it. But I had a very smart mechanic with me and from flight research, and he figured out that probably if we locked out the center differential, we would force the speed of the front and rear wheels to be equal, and that this would probably improve the handling characteristics. So we did that, and it was an amazing transformation. The car went from probably the worst handling car that year to probably the best handling car. And we didn't let on to the competition that we had managed to do this, and that we had a sort of a baby carriage to drive. You know, it was so easy. And we actually did very well in the hill climb, but after we had gotten about 3/4 of the way up, we had a transmission failure. The transmission case cranked, and so there was no connection any further between the engine and the wheels. So that was sort of the end of that trip. But at least we had a pretty good handling car. We had a lot of fun. And
this was the Bugatti?
No, this was the four-wheel drive Milliken, but it was owned by four-wheel drive company
here in Wisconsin.
Clintonville. Yeah, it was built by a famous race car designer, Harry Miller, who had talked the four-wheel drive company into building a race car. And the four-wheel drive people who were practically, they were the practical inventor of four-wheel drive trucks. And they built a raft of them for our military to be used in World War I. And they were sort of the truck. And after the war, they lost the military business. But then they began to build specialized four-wheel drive vehicles for lumbering, for fire trucks, on and on. And that's when they were racing the Milliken. Yeah.